So yeah, you read the title correctly up here or down here. The S22 Ultra made me forget about my iPhone 13 Pro Max. Welcome back to another video, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Glad you're here, where I make content around tech, accessories, and my experience with it to try to help you out. And if you enjoy, leave a like and subscribe to see more. So in this video, you heard me correctly and also read the title correctly. The S22 Ultra, which I've been using for the past few months, has made me forget about my iPhone 13 Pro Max, at least somewhat. Fundamentally, my iPhone 13 Pro Max and this S22 Ultra does pretty much the same thing: communicate with people. But there are a few notable things that this S22 Ultra, and I'm sure a lot of other Android phones do, that made me forget about my iPhone 13 Pro Max. So let's get into those, starting with the always on display. So like I said, this S22 Ultra and other Android phones do have an always on display. As you can see right there, there's like a little bit of text here. That is an always on display showing the clock, the date, and any notifications that I have. In the time that I've been using the iPhone, which has been from the iPhone XR to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, so about 3 years, I actually missed a lot of these features that Android had to offer, which one of them was an always on display, because to simply check the time, I had to physically click a button or interact with the phone in one way or another for me to just simply check the time. So the always on feature is one of the features that made me miss Android while I was using the iPhone, but I'm glad I have it now on my S22 Ultra, which is making me forget about the iPhone. So that's the first thing, always on display. So the next thing that made me forget about my iPhone while using this S22 Ultra specifically is the versatility of the cameras. So there are 5 cameras on the S22 Ultra, 4 on the back and 1 on the front, and this setup has honestly made me appreciate this versatility of cameras so much. The S22 Ultra can go all the way from the ultra-wide camera, which is equivalent to 13mm, all the way to a 10 times telephoto periscope zoom, which is equivalent to 230mm. So obviously in between it is digital zoom, but we also have the 3 times telephoto zoom just to sort of close the gap a little bit more, and we also have the 108 megapixel main sensor. So photos and videos from this guy will not disappoint at all, whether you're standing far away or standing close to your subject. Speaking of not being a disappointment, the front-facing camera is a really good one, and for one reason. I mean, it has other features that make it really good as well, but for me at least, there's only one reason why I think this camera is very, very good. And that is front-facing autofocus. So as far as I know, Samsung is the only smartphone manufacturer to put autofocus on their front-facing camera, and honestly, I wish other smartphone manufacturers like Apple's iPhone, Google's Pixel, and OnePlus phones put autofocus on their front-facing cameras, because it's just almost more seamless between the front-facing camera and the rear-facing camera if the front-facing camera has autofocus, because the rear-facing cameras also have autofocus. So just as a test to test out this feature, I'm gonna put my hand here and tap on it, and you can see I'm slightly out of focus in the background. If I move my hand a little bit, you can see that I'm slightly out of focus when I focus on my hand. And when I take it away, I am back in focus. So that's what front-facing autofocus does, and it's an awesome feature. So I wish all smartphone manufacturers put autofocus in the front-facing cameras. The next reason is sort of an obvious one, but it is surely one that made me forget about my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and it is the S Pen included with the phone built right in. The reason that this made me forget about my iPhone 13 Pro Max is because I had the option to use this specific tool to interact with my S22 Ultra. And it also brings specific features like highlighting text, writing on the screen with this, specifying maybe like a location on Google Maps and sending it to a friend. I can magnify a part of the screen if it's too small, and thanks to the Bluetooth low power, I can use it as a shutter button to take time-lapse videos or long exposure photos. And obviously just regular photos if I want to set my phone down somewhere and take a selfie or like a group photo or something and not have to rely on someone else. I can just take the S Pen out, press the button, and it acts as a shutter button, so it'll just take the photo. So the S Pen stylus included with the S22 Ultra is another reason why it made me forget about the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And now the next thing that made me forget about the iPhone 13 Pro Max while using the S22 Ultra are actually a sprinkle of a few things. And like I mentioned, the front-facing camera having autofocus, just so good. It's just a game changer, honestly. The S22 Ultra also has faster charging, up to 45 watts, and because of a few software optimizations, there are more versatile battery saving tricks. So you can turn your phone from a smartphone into a dumb phone when you really need it to last longer. And speaking of software, there are also a few software tricks that made me forget about my iPhone while using this phone. And one of them, I'm sure you've heard, is Samsung DeX, which basically when plugged into an external monitor or something like that, even wirelessly on a compatible TV, you can turn your S22 Ultra into a mini computer, essentially. Like, you can hook up a keyboard or a mouse to the monitor or TV and use it as a full-fledged computer in a pinch. You can get real work done using like the full keyboard instead of just the on-screen keyboard on the S22 Ultra, and get actual work done, or at least you can feel like you got actual work done. So the next thing also has to do with productivity in a way, and it is split screen multitasking, true multitasking. So you can have one app on the top and one app on the bottom and multitask like that. And you can also have another app floating on top of those two apps, and you can have another one and another one and another one. And it's just a lot of multitasking capability that this S22 has that any iPhone, for that matter, not just the 13 Pro Max, does not have. So split screen multitasking has also made me forget about the 13 Pro Max. You can also create GIFs straight from the phone. And speaking of straight from the phone, there is a built-in video editor straight into the software where you can edit your videos as if you're editing on like iMovie or something. It's a simple one, but it is still there nonetheless. And there are a bunch of other software tricks that the S22 Ultra has, like multiple social accounts, so you can have two versions of the same Snapchat app, or you can have two versions of the same Facebook app, just different accounts, and without having to log out of one and into the another. You can just have two of those accounts simultaneously on your phone, which is really cool. And this S22 Ultra does have a curved edge, and to take advantage of that design feature, Samsung has included edge panels, which are panels to the side of the phone that you can just swipe through, and you can get your favorite apps, tools, like the calculator in a pinch, or you can launch multitasking, split screen multitasking right from these edge panels. So those are actually pretty cool. So the always on display, the versatility of cameras, the S Pen, and the little things like the Samsung DeX or the split screen multitasking and the faster charging and front facing autofocus have made me forget about my iPhone 13 Pro Max. So does this mean that you will also forget about your iPhone if you're using an iPhone if you get an S22 Ultra? Well, like everyone else, my experience differs from yours, but this has just been my experience, which I wanted to share with you. So if you enjoyed, definitely leave a like down below, subscribe to see more like this, and share with your friends and family if they're also interested in whether they'll forget about their iPhone if they start using this phone. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.